All right, my darling says that I need to do a video on how to hang drywall. So here's the scoop. I mean, obviously, if you take a look, we're pretty far along already in this project of hanging drywall. We have a piece that we're putting on the back wall over here, which I'll just bring over here. This is just a scrap sheet that I already have, which I kind of was planning out to use on this back here. But I should show you how to cut a piece of drywall. That would be, some of you need to know that probably. This one's already cut. So what I need to do first, okay, because this is an old house, you can't, nothing is straight and plumb. I think this wall is tipped out. I think the ceiling is fairly level. But one thing I'm going to do first before I even grab my screw gun, because I'm almost confident I'm probably going to have to do a little extra work. And of course, as soon as I say that, I feel like then it's fine. I do want to go a little bit. So I'm going to do a little scribing, it's called. Okay, you can see how the gap is bigger down there. Some people would just roll with that. I just want to take a little bit just to close it up a little bit. So I marked that.
How did you mark that?
I took my pencil, I slid it. See, your pencil has about a 1/4 inch thickness to it. So I put it on there and you just scribe right down. You just use the wall. And so then that actually marked the gap. And I was tight on the ceiling. I made sure my piece was tight on the ceiling, is what I wanted. And then there was a gap there. So then if I sand out or take my rasp to that and cut a little bit of that out, it'll fit better. And actually, I sometimes like to go like this because the rasp will curl this over anyway. So I'm just taking my knife and I'm shaving off that like I actually like to do it on both. You can just do it on one side, but again, like a guy who sheetrocks every day, they would have just said that was good enough. They would have rolled with it, and that's fine. It really, the taper should be able to pre-fill that little bit of space, and that wasn't probably necessary, but I like to go a little extra. That's my friend Jeff. He tells me I'm extra. So I'm getting my rasp. Okay. So now, if you're doing this and you're really serious, which my wife probably wants me to be more serious, but I'm not. You'd carry these tools around in a tool belt so you wouldn't every second have to stand around and go like this and wonder where you put stuff. So I had to go hunt this down. This is a drywall rasp, okay? You use it to shave sheetrock. It just sands it down, basically. There you go. So now, theoretically, I should be able to grab my drill. See, again, if I had my tool belt, I would have screws in my tool belt ready to go. I'd have a spot to hook my drill, but I don't. I have to walk back over here. This is what homeowners do. This is what we do when you're not on the clock getting paid the big bucks. You just walk around all day long. I'm using, on 1/2 inch drywall, I'm using an 1 1/4 inch, just a Phillips drywall screw. Okay, 1 1/4 inch, it's a number 6. 5/8 you'd use a longer screw, but for 1/2 inch, this
what kind of gun do you have?
So this is actually a special gun for installing drywall. It actually has a little clutch, so if I pull the trigger, it doesn't spin. But as soon as there's pressure on the end of this screw here, as soon as I start putting pressure on it, all of a sudden now it engages it and it'll turn, okay? But then as soon as it hits the drywall and it sinks it to a certain depth, it's gonna disengage the drive, and then it makes it so that the screw gets set at a particular height. And there's adjustments on there. You turn this chuck right here, this decreases the depth if you go this way. If you turn it this way, it increases the depth. But it should it'll preset the screw so that it's just below the surface, and that's what you want. You don't want it ripping through the paper. You want it just to kind of be a little bit recessed in there so that when you mud over it, it fills in the screw and you don't click it with a taping knife. So I usually grab a couple screws because I'm usually working by myself. Trying to grab the piece. One thing I already did too. What is that? Oh, I put a screw in the wall. I put the screw in the wall to show you, and I left the screw in the wall. So don't do that. That's bad. At least we didn't try screwing it on. That would have been even worse. Okay, let's try it again. This is how we work. You know, you keep taking the piece down because it's good exercise. So you can see it fits a lot better there. I like that. And what I like to do is just try to hold it up tight to the wall, to the ceiling. This is a shorter ceiling, so the seam is down a little lower than usual. It's not usually at this height. So you kind of dropped a little bit on me. Right there. And then I put a screw right in there. See how it sets it nice and even, nice and flush. Usually you can get 2 screws in, and after you get 2 screws in, it should stay. Especially on a little piece like this. There you go. And I'm actually leaving this intentionally long right now. And then I'll show you the roto zip here in a second. But I'm going to take my roto zip and just zip right down it. And then what's nice about that is it actually cuts it the perfect length, especially if something's not straight. Because if you measured it, it probably wouldn't fit just right. So I'm going on every stud. I actually put a little piece of backer in here. Because it got a little close there. So I'm going with 3 screws. They call it in the field. 3 screws in the field. I think when we Googled it, I literally think they say 12 inches, every 12 inches. So you have one on your seam. This is your taper seam. This is your taper seam up here. And so what I say is your taper is going to get one. Every spot where you have a stud is going to get one, but then 3 in the field. So I try to center, I try to eyeball the best I can the middle of this, the middle of the piece of sheetrock. Okay. Reload. And then what I was saying is I put one, then I try to space one more. Again, it doesn't have to be perfectly spaced. Try not to put my drill in the electrical panel. That'd be a bad day. So then I pre-marked this too. If you can see, I put marks before I hung it. There's a stud right here, and I marked the center of the stud on every one just so that I know where they're at. And I do it on the floor as well. Take a magic marker and I mark all the studs on the floor, which is also nice later on when you come along and you're trying to finish. Well, in this case, we're putting down a planking, so we won't be able to see it, but like carpet or something like that, you'd know if you're putting down basing, you'd have all your studs marked out. So, yeah. So again, I'm eyeballing. I'm kind of eyeballing between these two. You could draw lines if you're kind of just getting started. If you're getting started and you're not super confident and eyeballing like that, I'm kind of looking up to that mark and eyeballing in between. And I'm trying to hit the center. Once I get the center ones in, then it's easier to gauge the rest of them. But again, you could take a T-square and you could mark them all out. If you want to for sure hit it, you could set your T-square on when you're laying it out, and you could actually mark all the lines so you'd for sure hit it, but that takes more time. So sometimes I still miss because, like I said, I don't do it all the time. I do enough to be dangerous. And like this, actually, I'm definitely not the fastest drywaller in the world. You can actually do this too with this gun. You can turn it on so it's always running, and then as soon as you hit it, it's gonna just go. But you gotta, the good drywallers do it like that. I don't, because I'm not as confident. As you can see, it goes a little quicker. But then you gotta be a little careful too. I'm gonna back it off because it's getting a little bit deep. So you can go in that mode, which makes you sound like you're working a lot faster and harder. It is good because it gets the RPMs of the drill up really high right away so that it turns the screw and goes. But you got to be a little careful because you can get a little wild too. So I just do this because I'm not. Again, I'm not trying to make the big bucks.